On today's show, Luka Doncic and Slovenia continue to move on in Eurobasket. What does the field look like now that Greece and Serbia have both been knocked out? We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know who is Slovenia's biggest threat in Eurobasket with Greece and Serbia, Giannis and Jokic's teams now out. Is it Germany? Is it France? Is it Poland, the team that they play today, Wednesday? Whenever you're listening to this, let us know. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, the friendly feline, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Got some Eurobasket action coming up today. You're listening to this on Wednesday. Yesterday, we did a whole tribute to our friend Jonathan Tjarks. So if you missed yesterday, go listen to that. Just us, honestly, just talking and trying to honor John the best that we can, and love that guy. Gonna miss that guy.
So if you missed that episode, Jonathan Tjarks was writer at The Ringer, guest on this show, a bunch of times, and personal friend of ours. And he passed away over the weekend. You've probably seen a bunch of news things about it. I think NBA Today even talked about it. I just saw Zach Lowe talked about it on his show. Like, just the whole NBA world is talking about Tjarks' life, and we're fairly close with him. Spent time at his house, spent time with his family and everything. And so we shared all of our thoughts on yesterday's episode. It was not even really a Locked On Mavs episode. It was basically just all about Tjarks, his life, and what it meant to us. And so if you're curious about any of that, I would recommend it. Go listen to that. And it's, I heard from a lot of people today that listened that said, hey, you got me crying on my run today. I wasn't going to listen to this, but I'm glad I did. Things like that. And I appreciate every single one of them. Appreciate all the comments from yesterday. And it's not one of those things where it's okay, we do one episode and we're done, right? Or we're done like grieving or processing or anything like that. I was still trying to figure it out today, but you can go listen to that, and we'll continue to do the show. We'll continue to do Locked On Mavs, because that's a thing that Tjarks wanted to do, was keep talking basketball throughout his whole process.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk Mavs and talk some Luka Doncic and talk about some Eurobasket, because man, the path is not that there was ever like a big wall for Slovenia to win this thing, but feels like it's smoothing out a little bit for them.
So Slovenia, they enter in Europe. They're playing Eurobasket, this big tournament. We've been covering it for weeks now, and they entered the round of 16s. They entered the tournament stage, which is a March Madness style, like one and done type tournament. And they play Belgium in the first game. They beat Belgium in the first game. We'll break that game down. Then we'll talk about the field, because there were two teams that I was looking at in Eurobasket and said, I don't know if Slovenia can beat those two teams, because I think that they have, it's the three best players in the world. Literally, like the three best players in the world were playing in this tournament in Jokic, Giannis, and Luka, and two of them have been knocked out now. Greece got knocked out on Tuesday. Serbia got knocked out on Sunday or Monday. And so now they're out of it. And now Slovenia's path to the title and the path to win is a little bit more clear now. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the midseason tournament too. I know there's been some old Mark Cuban comments that have been circling around about that. And the NBA is now implementing this new midseason tournament. We'll share our thoughts on that. And what do we think it means for the Mavericks? Because it is a little different going into this season. So we'll talk about that. But let's start with this game against Belgium, because Slovenia gets the win 88-72. And it wasn't as easy as the score says. They really turned it on in the fourth quarter. 25-12 in the fourth quarter. Slovenia really was able to turn on the Jets. They were able to just take advantage after just a run. And so at like the 9-minute mark, just about like the 8:30 minute mark, it was 68-65. Slovenia is only up by 3. Belgium had just taken a lead at the 9-minute mark. and it was their first lead of the entire game. So fourth quarter, Slovenia's had this lead for the whole game. Belgium takes the lead at the 9-minute mark. They take a timeout. Belgium's passing, they're rebounding, their defensive pressure has just been way better than Slovenia this whole game, and it's really standing out. They take a timeout. Luka goes out, scores, or he drives and attacks twice in a row and scores twice in a row. And when things like that happen, you just start feeling like, whether it's the Mavericks or whether it's the Slovenia team, that they're gonna win the game. like they're gonna win the game because it's Luka and he's just that good.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best player on the floor, and
for sure, like leaps and bounds.
And I don't really have anything else to add about the game because I didn't get to watch the game.
No.
I mean, honestly, I didn't get to see
I'm
it.
gonna say, if there was a weekend that we won't hold it against you, then it's probably this weekend.
Listen,
but
my son's first T-ball game was Saturday morning, and I had to figure out what kind of sports dad I was going to be. And I had all these like feelings of like, what am I going to be? I even like joked about it on this pod.
Let us know in the comment section what kind of sports dad you are.
I was a standard though. I couldn't sit.
Were
and
you
my wife was
pacing
like,
or just standing?
She's like, what do you do? And I had to like, I leaned up against the pole and I was like, all right, I can't sit down. It was my first time watching something where I was like personally invested into the person playing. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. It was a wild experience. But anyway, I was supposed to, rewatch the game later on. But everything.
Just so honest, Isaac.
I said he was the best player on the floor. So
it's still true.
He had some crazy passes. Ran pick and roll.
Hold on.
Really
we got
well.
like 4 minutes left. Sit the rest of this one.
Tell me what was your favorite stretch of the game?
So this
what defined this game?
This stretch defined Slovenia in this game. But yeah, so Luka attacks twice in a row right after the timeout. They score twice in a row, and then they start going on a little bit of a run. They go on a 10-1 run after that, after Belgium had taken that lead. And that's just the difference between the levels of teams that we're looking at in this. And there are teams that they can't really do runs like that on and just turn it on, like probably France and Germany. You just can't really like go on a run like that if you just want to. But Luka and the rest of this team just willed them to victory. They had some incredible plays down the stretch. Chanchar had a huge block and then a layup on the other end, a stop and a score to give him a 10-point lead at the 5-minute mark. Preplovic hit a huge three, and then he got fouled on a 3-point attempt. So he had, 6 big points in the fourth quarter. Slovenia got them after that. Preplovic, he got fouled, hit 3 free throws. That was their biggest lead of the whole game. And so they went from Belgium's first lead at the 9-minute mark to Slovenia's biggest lead of the game at the 4:25 mark. Like that was the run that they went through. They really just turned it on. And when Slovenia wants to turn on their defense, they can, and they can get in passing lanes. They can just lock guys up, and they can make you take a tougher shot than you want to, which is kind of all defense is at a certain point in basketball. Just make a little bit of a tougher shot than you want to take to take away some of the things that you want. They weren't letting Belgium pass around. Like Belgium was making so many extra passes. It was like Ted Lasso was their coach, like just telling them like, you got to make the extra pass, like pass here, pass there, and they were just really killing Slovenia on that because if you're making the extra pass in basketball and the other team's helping, they're trying to, rotate quick enough, then you just can't sometimes. Like you can't keep up with the ball. An incredible moment happened in the fourth quarter of this game from the announcers. And I know that you listening probably have an opinion about these Eurobasket announcers. And I know a lot of you do not care for the Eurobasket announcers. But there's a guy named Tomba on Belgium. And he had the ball. He was posting up on Luka. He had his back to Luka. He elbows him with like a quick kind of spin over to his right. He elbows Luka. Luka kind of falls a little bit, and then the whistle blows. And then after the whistle, Tomba still has the ball like under his chin as if he's gonna, with his elbows out, like if he's gonna continue the post up even after the whistle. And he elbows Luka right in the chops, like just completely out of character. Like Belgium was completely out of the game at this point. Slovenia had their biggest lead, and the announcer goes, "Oh, Tomba has lost the plot. He has lost the plot of the game." What an incredible call. I want to use that in my life. He has lost the plot.
Did you not pull it for a drop on the soundboard?
I should pull it as a drop. But Luka hit both the free throws. It was just a drubbing act. Like they almost got to a 20-point lead in that fourth quarter. It was such a run, and it was such a way for Slovenia to turn it on. And coming up, let's talk about the rest of this field, because now Greece and Serbia, the two teams that I thought were maybe the biggest threat to Slovenia, are out. How did they get out? What's Slovenia and Luka's plot? What's their plot to to the final? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. We are doing a BetOnline top 50 NBA players that affect the lines. That is coming up next week. I'm very excited about it for the NBA. Luka is quite high, I will say, if I want to talk about that. And these players will really affect the lines and odds and everything. And you can get all those on BetOnline. They have NBA stuff already. They have NBA futures. They have regular season wins. If I pull up the Mavs real quick, they're at 48.5. So they think that they're going to be 4 wins worse than they were last year, which is interesting thinking about how much the Mavericks were, how good the Mavericks were last year. And how good they were in the second half, but how bad they were in the first half. Like if you think about the context of their whole season. But you can get that. If you want some action on that right now, you can check it out. They have conference futures. I think the Mavericks conference futures are not even that good at all. They are plus 1,200. They have worse odds than the Grizzlies, the Lakers. The Lakers always get crazy odds, but you can go check them all out. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. We talked about NBA top 50 most valuable players on BetOnline. It's what the odds makers think are the top 50. It'll be starting on September 19th on the Locked On NBA podcast as well as YouTube, so you can go check it out. Who's number one? Is it Luka? Is it Giannis? Is it Steph Curry? Who moves the betting lines the most this season? Go check it out on Locked On NBA. Go subscribe there. I'm hosting the show on Thursdays, and I pop up every once in a while on there as other days. So go check it out. Locked On NBA, the podcast, and the YouTube. All right. So Serbia gets knocked out of Eurobasket by Italy.
Our guy.
In the
our
first
Mavs
round.
legend. Nikola
Melli knocks out Serbia. He had 22 points, I think, in that first round game. So Serbia gets knocked out in the very first round with Jokic. Did you think Serbia or Greece were the biggest threat to Slovenia before?
I thought it was Serbia. Yeah.
Me too.
I thought basically that, I think a lot of us thought France and Serbia was going to battle it out there in the second round. And, now it's France and Italy. But I figured the champion of this is going to be determined there in that semifinals matchup between Slovenia and I thought it was going to be Slovenia and Serbia, to be honest. But I think everybody was wanting, for the ratings was wanting Slovenia, Serbia, winner plays Giannis and Greece in the finals. Like that would have been a lot of fun. But
or just the enjoyment of it, just seeing those stars, like those 3 stars, literally the 3 best basketball players in the world by my count. But Serbia gets knocked out in that first round. So now it's France and Italy. They will play today on Wednesday. If you're listening and watching this on Wednesday, so they'll play. And the winner of that will play the winner of Slovenia and Poland. So that's a game that we really want to watch out for and see what happens there. And then the other side of the bracket, this is like the complete other side of the bracket. Greece loses in the second round. They beat the Czech Republic pretty easily in the first round. And then they lose. Like they had such a terrible game against Germany. Their third quarter, they lost 26-10. Like it was just a terrible run. Giannis got ejected in this game. They were down by 20 in the fourth quarter. Our boy Tyler Dorsey didn't even have a good game in this one. He had 13 points. He was 2 of 7 from 3. He was 3 of 5 from 2-point range. Didn't have any assists. Had a couple turnovers. He was a minus 21 in the game. Like basically, Greece's starting lineup couldn't get anything going against this Germany team. And we've seen this Germany team is pretty tough. Dennis Schroder, maybe future Maverick, as Marc Stein tweeted out, the most vague rumor in NBA history today.
I went back and read that tweet a few more times. I was like, what is he saying with this?
So I'll bring it up since we're talking about Germany. But Marc Stein tweeted out today, quite a bold step for Dennis Schroder to play in Eurobasket without an NBA contract in hand, but there's a rising buzz in league circles about his job prospects. Schroder will almost certainly have a new team by month's end after helping host Germany make the semifinal. All right, so we know that the Mavericks have been circling. The Buzzards have been circling around Dennis Schroder. They need another guard. They need this position. We talked about him a lot. They were there watching him in Europe when they went to go watch Luka. Do we think that
Stein is well connected?
Stein is super connected to the Mavericks. Do we think that this unnamed team is the Dallas Mavericks?
I mean, it could. Yeah, it very well could. I I still guess no.
It's just a feeling at this point. I mean, we don't have sources on it.
Yeah, I think my feeling's still it's a no, and my feeling's still that they're going to make a trade.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it either. I think it goes back to the, can they try Christian Wood as an experiment and Dennis Schroder at the same time? Like, can they handle that with? I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie's still kind of an experiment. We know culture wise he's going to fit in, better than those guys might not, but on court wise, it's still kind of experiment with Spencer Dinwiddie. So that's gonna be an interesting thing. But yeah, so I don't think they're going to do it, but it's real interesting. It's probably the Lakers. Like, let's be honest.
Well, it just goes back to the Schroeder thing, and it's what like McMahon, Bontemps, and Wendy did on their pod. It's I wouldn't go as strong as Bontemps did, but he's like, why would you pass on Goran Dragic for the minimum and sign Dennis Schroeder to the minimum?
He called the Mavs bozos.
That's the type of thing that I just don't. I always felt like that they said no to the Dragic thing because they had something else they wanted a clear. I just don't think Dennis Schroeder's a clear upgrade over Goran Dragic. And if they're anywhere close to being even, then I would just go with Luka's mentor who is playing well, and it's like all of that. So I don't know. I mean, they could. Yeah.
The reported role that they talked about Dragic having makes it sound like he would be the fourth point guard, right? Like, not the third point guard and the third guard that they desperately need. It's like he would be the fourth point guard that would play the Trey Burke role from last year. I mean, it didn't sound like they had this clear role for him. So that's what made us think all that.
Whoever they go into the preseason with as their backup point guard, they're going to naturally be compared to Dragic by Mavs fans. Like, that's going to happen. The fact that the Dragic in Mavs didn't happen, and he was very open because of the role and like all of that, it wasn't like a money thing. Whoever it is going to be naturally compared to Dragic. Like, oh, who would you rather have? If it's a minimum guy, it's going to be even more compared. Yeah. But if you go out and you like trade, like we've talked about this before, and you trade for a guy, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, all right, it kind of makes a little bit more sense now. If it's a minimum guy, there's going to be comps all year. I'm going to have to edit this.
I have to apologize that you felt that
we should have signed Dragic. Like, I'm like, add something at the end. I'll add something on the end of it. I'm sure Jason Kidd will go. Somebody will ask a Dragic question after he has like a 20-point game against somebody. And that'll be a new drop. Oh, new year, new drops. That I'm honestly more excited about that.
New year, new drops.
Good morning, Isaac.
How do you think this Eurobasket plays out? Slovenia, France, you think win tomorrow? And then who do you think plays in the finals?
So Slovenia is matched up against Poland, and I wouldn't look past Poland, but I'm also not like I'm not like thinking about it too much, really. Like
Marcin Gortat playing for him.
Slovenia. Okay, so BetOnline actually has this Eurobasket game. France is a 4.5-point favorite against Italy, so that's a pretty good spread. Closest to the hole, Isaac Harris. Slovenia against Poland. What's the spread?
-8.5.
Up. Slovenia is really? -14 against Poland.
Wow.
Okay. I would take Poland on that just because 14 points is a lot to win against. Like you're covering if they win by 13 or 12 or 10. Like you're covering that.
Yeah.
Oof. The outright money line is wild in this one too. France against Italy. France is -189 on the money line. So that's like just straight up who's going to win. And Italy is plus 169. So that's like really close.
Nice.
That's really close, those two. Slovenia, Poland is plus 808 on the money line. So if you bet $100, you win $800 on Poland if they win. You have to bet $1,300, almost $1,400 to win 100 on Slovenia in this Eurobasket game. So.
Yeah, it's not worth that for me.
I don't think so either. So all that to say, I wanted to bring up the spreads because it helps us look at, okay, how much of a favorite is Slovenia in this game? They're a pretty big favorite. So we're not looking past Poland, but they'll probably beat them. And then it comes to the winner of France and Italy. And then between Germany and Spain, that one of those teams will make the finals on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah. And, obviously, Slovenia's already played Germany, and it's a good game. Slovenia beat them. So we'll see if we get a rematch of that in the finals, which would be kind of cool, in Germany and stuff.
Of the teams left, we've already seen them beat Germany and France, right? And those are probably the best two teams left after that. Maybe like throw Spain in there probably.
Well, I mean, there's only so many teams left.
Well, I'm throwing out Poland.
Did you just say France, Spain, and Germany? Those are probably three of the best teams left. There's only 5 teams left outside of Slovenia.
No, it's Slovenia, Poland, Italy.
I'd say Slovenia, France, Germany, Spain. I'd even throw like Poland and Italy in there. Some of like the best teams left in Eurobasket.
Hold on, I'm going to do this to myself.
Nick, that's a good question.
Okay, I have Slovenia, France, and then I think Slovenia is going to play Spain in the title game.
España.
And Luka's gonna put up buckets on a Hernan Gomez brother.
Oh, Bo Cruz and the Hernan Gomez brothers will they'll rue the day that they haven't signed with the Mavs yet. That team, Usman Garuba is on that team. They have Rudy Fernandez.
Shout out to when I asked. Never mind.
You gotta say it now.
No, we're good. Let's go.
All right. Coming up, let's talk about this midseason tournament. What does it mean for the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA? What does it mean for the rest of the league? Is it going to be interesting? Let's talk about some of the rules. We'll talk about all that and more coming up. All right, Isaac Harris. So this NBA midseason tournament is kind of interesting. They're setting it up.
Is it?
Well, this is the question. They're setting it up much like the WNBA already does. The tournament will play games through November, so it'll start like the beginning of the season through November. All 30 teams are participating, and it's just going to look like regular season games. The WNBA is already doing this, where you play a game and it's like, all right, this is a Commissioner's Cup game. What are they calling it? They're not calling it Commissioner's Cup yet. Right? They don't have like a specific name.
I don't even think it's like fully finalized yet.
Yeah, right. So they'll play for this Commissioner's Cup or this mid-season tournament. I'm doing air quotes for the audience.
Clutch Cup.
The CAA Clutch Cup. They'll play for that, and these games will count towards it. And then whatever your record is in those, Commissioner's Cup type games, 8 teams will make single elimination final in December, while the other 22 teams will continue their regular season. So these 8 teams will like move on to the next round, and they'll play the single elimination tournament, kind of like this Eurobasket thing. And then all games included will be part of the 82 game schedule. They'll play through that little tournament, and then there'll be one extra game that's not part of the 82 game season that like the final 2 teams play. And in the WNBA, that part has been interesting. Like that game's pretty fun. The 2 teams that want the Commissioner's Cup for bragging rights and whatever else they win. I think they win money in the WNBA and all that. And so they want that. And so that game's pretty fun. That's like an extra little jolt. But all the games leading up to it, like you don't know the difference between a Commissioner's Cup game and not a Commissioner's Cup game in the regular season of the W. And that's where I am with this NBA midseason tournament is like, what's the motivation? And that was the Cuban quote that came out from a while ago. It was like, the Mavs may even like rest their guys in some of these games because they just might not care about it because what's the point?
Yeah. So that was a long time ago. Stein obviously followed up with Marc.
Cuban's quote was a long time ago.
Yeah. After that quote was circulating on Twitter, Stein got a new quote from Marc on it of, Marc was very much more open to the fact of, adding more fun.
Because he probably voted on it. He probably voted in favor of it.
Because he has Luka now, and he knows he could win it. But, something Marc Cuban told Marc Stein was the possibility of like whoever wins it. He said, expand the draft. This is Cuban telling Stein.
This is wild.
Expand the draft to 3 or 4 rounds, and then give the winner of the cup the first pick in the 3rd and 4th round. And I'm like, what? People don't even care about the 2nd round. Like they don't even care about the 2nd round right now. So why would a team? I just don't think a team's going to give a crap about having the 61st pick in a draft that like.
Also, the Mavs have been great at these undrafted free agents with Dorian and Maxey and like other guys like Salah and like other random guys they've picked up over the years. Like, why would they want to take that away as an advantage for them?
Now, could you say they could get the first pick in the second round? That would be kind of cool.
That's interesting.
Like, give them
The problem is you trade those. Like, you can trade those far out and everything.
I know, but just go ahead and give them the 31st pick and then just push everybody else down, and you have 61 picks in the draft. And it's like, hey, you get.
Do the players care about that? Like, is that motivating Luka or LeBron or Kevin Durant?
I'm just saying if it's the draft like equity route, then I think that's more compelling to a team or a franchise. I don't know what's compelling to the players. I mean, unless there's money involved and it's a good bag of change, then
even the money that's motivating like two-way guys. That's motivating, the end of the bench guys. That's not motivating your top guys. I mean,
because it's gonna, you're not putting this on, Basketball Reference. You're not getting a little gold thing on Basketball Reference saying, hey, he won 3 Commissioner's Cup. Like, congratulations to Chris Paul. You didn't win a title, but you got 2 Commissioner's Cups in your lifetime. It's like,
and it will only count if they win the Commissioner's Cup and the finals. It's like, oh, he won both of them. Like, he dominated that whole year, right? Like, but if you just win the Commissioner's Cup and you don't win the title, it doesn't give it equal weight.
Yeah.
Right?
James Harden wins the Commissioner's Cup and then they get bounced in the first round. There's jokes for days.
Yeah, right.
Like, do you put a banner up for it? The Kings would, but it's like the Knicks probably would. But do you? Like, probably not. So I'm kind of confused. I mean, I get why they're doing it because they just want to spice up the regular season somehow.
That final game is fun. Like, it's even in the WNBA, what they're doing right now. Like, I'm excited about that.
If anything is fun, you got to add it. All right. So
the audio audience cannot maybe you could hear how deep my eye roll was that Isaac.
So shout out to the play-in tournament, the in-season tournament.
The play-in tournament is a play. Do we have to do this argument? The play-in tournament is awesome.
At least the in-season tournament, you're not like giving out participation ribbons for like making the air quote playoffs. Like, here's my thing. I have less issue with the in-season tournament because I don't think it messes with like the integrity of the game or like any of that stuff. I have an issue with the play-in tournament.
Yeah, because those 7 and 8 seeds, man, that's really messing up their ability to win the title. Because
I'll never be a fan of that.
Those teams always played so tough and like get so far in the like. When's the last? I think I saw recently like the last 25 like NBA Finals teams.
Listen,
have only been like 1, 2, or 3
and then
seeds.
Argue with you. All right, I can't do that in 24 hours. But I don't know. I mean, we'll all watch it.
One thing I want to say about our yesterday show and then like us doing this show is like we've been with our audience for like 5 years now. Like, we've been with you guys like listening on your own like for 5 years now. You've seen us like buy houses and get married and like have kids and like all this. And you've seen so many ups and downs. Like, you've seen the Mavs like sexual harassment suit. You've seen us get like draft Luka. You've seen like so many things with us, and it was wild to me, like the different swings of just life sometimes of where it goes back and forth. So you saying that, like going from crying yesterday to arguing about the play-in today is like,
a lot of new people reached out yesterday too. A lot of people was
awesome.
like, hey, I've been listening to you for a long time. I've never reached out. Because we obviously shared a lot about our faith yesterday, and we try to keep it sports, but that stuff means more than sports. So
when stuff happens that means more than sports, like, we'll talk about it, right? It like, we are going to be fully honest, and I think we could trust you, the listener, because we've been with you for 5 years, that hey, this is us, and we know that you know the difference between, all right, we're just sharing ourselves, or we're just having fun talking basketball. I don't know. Okay, so what would the question that will come up so much is like, what's going to motivate these guys in this midseason tournament? And I don't know if anything will. It'll just be like a fun wrinkle, and I think it's only just going to be a fun wrinkle for us. I don't even like, are fans even that into? Are they going to be that into this? Like, whoever wins it?
No.
But it's going to add some intrigue
Unless
to the game.
Like free Chick-fil-A.
It's going to add a little intrigue to some of these games. Like when the final eight teams happen, like, it's at least something. Instead of just a random like I don't know, Clippers Bucks game that will be fun. At least there's like a little extra in it.
But if like they need good teams to like be in the finals of this, because if this turns into the Bucks first game of this thing and Giannis is like resting, and then it turns into like Kings versus Pacers.
Well, by design, they will have good teams in it because they're only taking 8 teams. So you're talking about the 8 best teams in the NBA by November. Right? Like,
there's cup games through November. So like,
will they do some games not cup and some games cup? That doesn't make any sense.
That's how I understood it. That like random games throughout the like month of November is like, that's a cup game.
I can't wait for us to break down the cup schedule. Like we'll see the cup schedule. We'll go game by game and break down.
All right, it's going to be a 9-4 record.
Who wins and who loses the Mavs cup games? Their designated cup games.
But they desperately need good teams to be in the finals, because if it not, and if it is like Hawks versus Kings, then it's just going to be like,
I don't know. I'm watching the heck out of that game. Fox and Sabonis versus DeJounte and Trae Young.
There's not a basketball game
they're playing for something that they won't get to play for anything else the rest of the season, right? Like, so they're playing for something.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, I think
Hawks will make
the broader. Are we sure
they'll make the playoffs? Come on,
really?
The playoffs? Yeah. The Hawks.
They're definitely not better than 6 teams above them.
They just added DeJounte. I think they're better with DeJounte than they were.
Who are they better than the top 6 teams in the East?
The top 6?
Yeah.
They're better than. There's always one team that just like bows out.
But like right now, I think there's a clear top 6.
They're probably better than. Okay, is the 6th team the Bulls?
No, you have. Here we go.
Okay, it's Heat, Celtics, Bucks, Sixers. That's 4. Those are the top teams from last year. Cavs, you're putting in there.
Yeah,
that's 5. Brooklyn. Oh, Brooklyn.
So like, as long as KD and Kyrie, like they're better than the Hawks. So the Hawks are a playing team right now.
Well, they can still make the playoffs.
Yeah, they could. But even that, it's like Hawks, Bulls. I feel like there's another team in there that I'm like forgetting about.
Raptors.
It's like, yeah, are they for sure better than the Raptors?
This team is so Jekyll and Hyde though. Like even last year, they had like 10-game winning streaks and then they had like 10-game losing streaks. Like they were such a weird team last year. I just don't know which team will show up and how quickly DeJounte. But they added so much talent in DeJounte. Like they added exactly what Trae Young needs in the backcourt.
They did, but I still have questions. Like there's people way higher on that than I am. Like I still have questions that is Trae going to play off the ball? Because if he's not going to play off the ball, then what the heck is DeJounte Murray going to do when Trae has the ball? Is he just going to be in the dunker spot like Ben Simmons? Because he's not going to shoot threes. So people are just going to dare him to shoot threes unless Trae plays off the ball more, which he can. He's a great shooter. I just have more questions on the offensive side of the ball than
the East is so stacked. The NBA is pretty stacked this year.
Oh, so stacked. It's gonna be so much fun. Like,
my gosh, those teams that we just rattled off, like the Hawks are fighting for 6th, and they have 2 All-Stars on their team. And you're talking about on the other side, the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, probably Timberwolves. Like those teams are going to be vying for 6.
Think if you're Chicago. Chicago just maxed out Zach LaVine. They made all those trades.
They were number 1 in the East at one point last year.
Yeah, you have DeRozan, Vooch. Like you're a win now team, and like you can legitimately like be a play-in and not even make the playoffs, and be looking at yourself like, oh, do we have to tear this thing all the way down like right now?
Jeez. Well, they could send Zach LaVine somewhere. I don't know if everybody's for Zach LaVine to the Mavs, but I think that there are some people that are.
Would he fit in Dallas?
That is an old inside joke.
I don't know.
That's honestly from like that's from 3 years ago now. Isn't that from 2019?
I don't know. These years are going together.
That's like from before he was even an all-star. All right, there you go. That's Slovenia. That's what's going on with the midseason tournament. It's not even midseason. It's like beginning of the season tournament for the NBA, but that's our thoughts on that. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down Slovenia's hopeful win against Poland and Eurobasket. We'll talk about all that with Luka. And yeah, go listen to Locked On NBA. Great stuff all the time. It's the biggest stories in 30 minutes. Locked On NBA. Go check it out. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On. Boom.